Here is Peter King. All right, Peter, it's your 20th camp. Let's not talk about this one. I want to go back to your San Francisco 49ers camp. There's a lot of pressure on Garoppolo, John Lynch. They spent some money in free agency, D. Ford, Quan Alexander. What was your vibe at Niners camp? Because I think they make a big jump this year, Peter.
Colin, I'm probably going to pick them to make the playoffs, in fact. I've said if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't slip on a banana peel in September, I think they're going to win 10 games. Now, that is a really, really good division. This could be one of the rare years where there could be 3 playoff teams out of one division, because I think the Seahawks are a sleeping, I wouldn't call them giant, but I think they're sleeping. The Seahawks, basically, to me, are the Steelers of the NFC. They haven't had a lot of placid camps in recent years in both Seattle and Pittsburgh, but both of them have placid and productive camps now. The 49ers, the one thing that I believe about them is that I think this is the year where all of the investment in the defensive line really pays off, because it isn't just DeForest Buckner now. Obviously, with D. Ford, I think Solomon Thomas really is on a crucial year for him. And I think they've got a chance now to finally have that kind of defensive presence that's going to complement Garoppolo in that offense.
So I watched Arizona last night. I don't want to make a big deal out of the preseason, but the preseason does tell you things. I remember Victor Cruz out of UMass, undrafted, popped in preseason and went on to lead the Giants next 3 years in receptions. Dak Prescott popped in preseason, and here we are, Dak Prescott looking at 30, 35 million. Arizona struggled. Kyler struggled. Cliff Kingsbury struggled. Do you take anything from that, Peter?
No, I think we make far, far too much of preseason games. I mean, last week, talking about which young quarterback looked best in like 5 snaps. I mean, it's just too early. And look, I am sure that Cliff Kingsbury, is doing some experimentation. He doesn't know exactly who he's going to play in what situation yet. Some of the communication issues in that game really, in my opinion, are the result of players who've never played in that system before just simply trying to figure out. If this happens heavily in the 3rd preseason game, I'd be worried. But again, nobody ever thought that the 2019 Cardinals are going to be a playoff team anyway. This is a year for Kyler Murray to get some calluses on his hand. Like when we're talking about batting practice in baseball. What do you do in March? You get calluses on your hand. You get ready to bat 550 times during the season. That's what this is about for Kyler Murray right now.
There's a handful of quarterbacks in this league that I really love, but I do believe they're one more injury away from their front office having to consider a backup plan. Carson Wentz. Andrew Luck. As much as I love Andrew Luck, his injuries have become, Peter, a little bit of an enigma. We can't get a straight answer. What do you make of the Colts and this sort of?
Yeah, I mean, Colin, here's what I would say about the Indianapolis Colts and about the injuries as it relates to Andrew Luck. I think the biggest problem here is the mystery aspect of it. Like, I don't think anybody right now, even I bet you ask Chris Ballard and Frank Reich, and they're not going to be able to know right now, is Andrew Luck going to be able to play on September 20th or November 20th? Or is he going to play this year? That is the weird part of this injury. When I saw Andrew Luck in training camp, he was absolutely confident, positive that he was going to play opening day. And now, I don't know if you're in Indianapolis, if you have any idea when he's going to play. The only good thing about that is that Jacoby Brissett, I think, is probably one of the top 10 backups right now in football. So it's not like they have to mail in the season without Luck.
Yeah, he is surrounded now, which he wasn't for the first 3 years. Their defense can play. They've great offensive line, tight end play. I agree with you. He's got a better supporting cast. Now, you went to the Eagles camp as well. I believe they're as formidable. I think they'll win the NFC. That's my prediction. I like Howie Roseman. I like Wentz. What did you make of Wentz, the camp, the vibe, with a team that really feels poised to be excellent for a long, long time?
So in 2018, I sat with Wentz for 20 minutes after practice. 2019, I sat with Carson Wentz 20 minutes after practice. The Carson Wentz of 2019 is markedly different from he felt more freewheeling, more open, happier than he was a year ago. He was guarded a year ago. He was so sick of everybody talking to him about his injury. And I sensed a real, I don't want to say lack of confidence, but a real kind of wariness about whether he was going to be able to last year. Now, it turned out another injury ended up hurting him, but I think this year he's in a much different place. Now, having said that, Nate Sudfeld is one of the 10 most important players on that roster. And everybody says, "Oh my God, what are you talking about?" Well, I mean, the backup quarterback in Philadelphia is a vital piece of the puzzle. It's why, if I were Howie Roseman, I might have tried to really stretch one more year and keep Foles. Yeah. But now that Foles is gone and they're going to miss Sudfeld maybe for like 2 or 3 games, when he comes back, he better be ready to play, because you just never know.
It's very hard. I've always said this. The more successful somebody gets, the richer they get. It's harder to change who they are. Aaron Rodgers is successful. He's got a ring. He is super smart. And now you got a coach coming in, Matt LaFleur, who's young, unproven, and has a system very much like Shanahan, McVay, that he doesn't love ad-libbing out of play calls. I think it'll be fine because I think Aaron's gifted. But I do wonder how the rub goes if Aaron does some ad-libbing and stuff that was called doesn't work. Do you have any concerns at all about that relationship?
I think you have to have concerns about the relationship because, there were times where it was rocky between he and Mike McCarthy. And Aaron basically is a very strong-willed guy who knows what he likes. But I'll just tell you one story from that camp, Colin. I found out that one of the plays in their scrimmage, a family night scrimmage, was a play that Aaron Rodgers changed at the line of scrimmage, even though the play he changed to hadn't been installed yet by Matt LaFleur. But he just explained it to everybody walking on the line. Here's what you're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And he ended up doing it, and they ran it fine, and they gained yardage on the play. And Matt LaFleur was over there like, he had no idea what was going on out on the field. But that is the strength of Aaron Rodgers. He is never going to stay in a play that he thinks is going to be an abject disaster. The one other thing about Rodgers and LaFleur that I found interesting, Matt LaFleur, when I said, "How does it feel to be Aaron Rodgers' boss?" he almost winced. He said, I don't want to be called Aaron Rodgers' boss. We have sort of a collaborative relationship. That's the way it has to be with the play designer, play caller, and the quarterback. So, we'll see how it goes, Colin. The only problem that I foresee coming, in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers is not necessarily a consistently tempo quarterback.
Right.
He wants to survey the landscape and see what he has. And I think Matt LaFleur wants to play fast, 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 fast. We'll see how that goes. I don't know how that marriage is quite going to work.
Analytics are changing sports. Certainly baseball, there was the first sport to make major changes. Basketball now, analytics are shoot threes and no mid-range jumpers. Analytics are becoming very cruel to running backs, whereas you can make an argument you don't sign them to a second-long contract. You're at the Chargers camp, Melvin Gordon. I just ran into him at the airport. Great kid, but he knows the reality of what's happening to his position. Similarly, Zeke in Dallas wants to get paid 2 years early. So you've been covering this league for 30 years. Maybe it's cyclical, but Peter, does it not feel like the Melvin Gordons and Zekes, if not being eliminated, are being marginalized in this league now, in this sport?
I don't think Ezekiel Elliott and Melvin Gordon have the same impact on their teams. If I were to guess right now, I would guess that the Chargers would be comfortable, is the wrong word, would be okay with playing a significant part of this season without Melvin Gordon, whereas the Cowboys can say whatever they want. If they don't have Ezekiel Elliott opening day, there's going to be a lot of unease in that locker room, because this is probably, as much as any team in football, a team that wants to live on the ground.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Chargers are Phillip Rivers' team. And I think Austin Eckler and you know, the backup Jackson, I think, are both going to make the Chargers feel like we can be okay and we can win without Melvin Gordon. And again, the Chargers did not invent what's happening to the, you know, in the NFL right now. But I think the general manager, Tom Telesco, has to feel like, listen, if we pay Melvin Gordon $12, $14 million a year, that's just going to be one guy on our defense, a young guy that we're not going to be able to sign. So I think, and plus, I mean, Gordon's got another year. So I don't think the Chargers feel like they absolutely, from what I've read, they don't feel like they absolutely have to do something with Melvin Gordon. And if he doesn't come in, he doesn't come in.
All right, Football Morning in America, Peter King, NBCSports.com. Brave enough to wear a long-sleeve black shirt in the Southern California sun. It's great having you on again.
Hey, when you've had a couple of melanomas, Colin, the long-sleeve shirt doesn't really bother you as much as wondering what's happening under your skin.
Fair enough, Peter. Have a continued great summer. We love your stuff. NBCSports.com. Football Morning in America. Peter King. Coming up next, tomorrow's headlines today with J-Mac. It's The Herd.